Welcome to Trailblazing Bosses. This podcast will feature interviews with women entrepreneurs who are willing to share their journeys of trial and triumph to hopefully inspire and encourage our listeners to embark on their own paths to entrepreneurship. My name is Miranda Atkins, and I will be your host. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of Trailblazing Bosses. On this episode, I have Miss Telisa Cockrell with a little TLC Home and Body. So everybody, please welcome her to the show today. Yay! So Telisa, go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in being an entrepreneur.
So my name is Telisa. I am a mother of two. I have two teenagers, a boy and a girl, 14 and 13. How I got started in business, it was really crazy. I met a lady at a job that I was working at, because I've been working in property management for the last 10 or so years. I met a lady and she was holistic. Like, she did a lot of things natural. She would make her own natural body products, and she started talking to me about it. And I was really intrigued by it, and I started learning and like kind of getting products from her and making my own stuff. And I kept saying, one day I'm going to start a business. I'm going to do a business doing this. And eventually I did. I ended up getting a job that was really, really, just too much. I was making the most money that I made as far as having a job, but I was so depressed and so stressed out at that job. I was just like, I have to do something else like this. I have to be able to have something else for myself. And so that's kind of where it started from there.
I tell people all the time, all money ain't good money. We hear these high numbers when jobs call, and then it's like you get there. And I think for like true entrepreneurs too, it's one of those things like, I don't care how much you paying me. I don't really want to be here no way. So I got to figure something else out. So Exactly. It sounds like that's kind of how you were with that. So tell us a little bit about the products that you make and sell.
So all of my products are completely natural. It took me, I originally started in business back in 2019, at the very end of 2019. And since then, I've literally went through like 2.5 rebrands. I've studied ingredients and my products and everything. But so I make natural body products that I sell. And then I also do scented products, wax melts that are kind of like candles. Mm-hmm. And then I have some other new products that I'm working on, but natural body products and the scented products are what I'm selling and make.
Okay. And so you talked about having to rebrand since 2019. What were some of the signs that let you know I needed to rebrand, or what was like involved in that rebranding process? Was it a logo change? Just how you sold your products? What was involved in that?
The first one, pretty much everything. Like, I started off really good. I was getting, a lot of customers, a lot of orders. But for me, myself, I didn't really feel aligned with my business. Like, I wasn't really able to, it wasn't really niched for me. I couldn't really like express myself the way that I wanted to, or talk about the things that I wanted to talk about through my business. So I rebranded to more of just kind of sinking myself more into my business and rebranded it for more of like what I do, which is spirituality and kind of natural living and things of that nature.
Nice. And that's what it's great that you mentioned that, because I tell people all the time, it's hard to, and I think that's why so many entrepreneurs can't really we get a job at the beginning because we have to have a job in order to pay bills and do all that kind of stuff. But it's hard for us to stay and really be involved in it, especially if it's not something we really feel. And that's one of the things that I say about me with like travel. like that's what I love. Like that's what makes like my soul happy. That's what makes
Yeah.
me just happy and keeps my demeanor the way it should be with people and all of
Yeah.
that. The other stuff that I was doing was great because it was bringing money in, but if you can't really like feel that and feel good about what you're selling, what you're pushing, and it's not aligning with your values and things like that, I think that is one of the big things that people have to do when they're starting and doing their own business. So speaking of
Exactly.
values and things like that, what are some of your personal values that you kind of like try to incorporate into your business and pass on to your customers that you service?
As far as personal values, I would say really just owning who we are as women. And I feel like a part of being a woman is also being, beautiful, being, shining bright and letting our light shine. I went through like a very, very depressing season in my life right before I started my business. Um, and I gained a whole bunch of weight. My skin was bad. I was depressed, couldn't get out of bed, and I changed it all around and was able to transform myself. And I just kind of want to help women, be able to do that. It's important to me to be able to help women do that. And, it starts with our skin and our bodies and our mindsets and our environments. So that's kind of where my value lies, just really being able to help women um, to really transform in that way.
Okay. And so you said you were in this like depressive state. What kind of helped you get out of it? Was it the thought of starting your own business? Was it the kids? Was it just like, hey, I know something has to change? Because I think as women, we kind of go through those seasons, and from the outside looking in, people may look at our lives and be like, well, what do you have to be depressed about? Because like you said, you were probably, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you were working a job at that time, but making the most money you said you had ever paid. You got two great kids, all this stuff. So people are like, what's she got to be, depressed about? But as women, we kind of get that. So I think like your products probably help people, like you said, with, skin, feel better, just those type of products. But what for you was kind of like your motivation to say, hey, I know I got to make a change. I need to do something different.
Honestly, my motivation was seeing when I was going through that depression. What kind of started that depression for me was just a lot of, I felt like my world at that time was kind of just shook up so crazy. Like everything that I had thought was my foundation kind of like slipped from under me. It was gone. So I was like left with just like, okay, where do I go from here? Like at that point, my job and working my job was like the main thing in my life that kept me kind of stable. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I got in an environment where, like I said, I was making the most money, but I didn't feel stable in the environment, I just knew I had to make a change. And I had got so depressed to the point where I could barely even get up and take a shower, barely even take care of my kids. But I seen the school one time had reached out to me and said something about my son being kind of sad, and I hadn't even realized like me being so depressed and just in the state that I was, like it was rubbing off on my kids. So I just got up one day, um and I seen a lady on Instagram. Actually, she was a Black lady who was selling she was selling candle kits and also bath product kits to kind of like get started in business. And before then, like I knew I wanted to start this business. I knew I had to do something else to get myself out of the situation that I was in. But I really honestly had never really seen another Black woman doing the things that I wanted to do. So it was kind of hard for me to kind of get that vision. So when I seen her doing it, I bought her kit and it kind of just gave me that hope, like, like I can do this. I see somebody that looked like me that's actually doing it and is actually successful in it. So I bought her kit and I started, dealing with the wax and really studying natural ingredients. And it just kind of snowballed from there. It was more therapeutic for me at that time. I knew I wanted to start a business, but it took me probably a year or so to actually get my business started, because it was just more of a therapy and more of a just kind of getting back to myself
To
kind of
yourself,
thing.
right? Right. Yeah. Well, kudos to you for getting yourself out of that because, depression is so crazy. And you said it was the end of 2019. So I'm just thinking about around the holidays and all that stuff. It kind of already makes people kind of crazy. So I'm just
Exactly.
glad you were able to find something to get out of there because I know we follow each other on social media. And it was funny because I just kind of seen the rebirth, I want to call it, of you.
Mm-hmm.
I started seeing you just out and glowing and living your life. And I was like, shout out to her. Cause I mean, I really see, I think I saw the change. Like, I don't know if I recognize the depression part of it, but I
Yeah.
definitely saw the come out of
Yeah.
on your social media. So I'm super glad for that. And you mentioned seeing this other woman. That was a question I was going to ask you. I was going to go back to the lady that you said first started you with doing the natural products and things like that. I was going to say, did she end up being a mentor to you? But maybe not. But this other lady, you kind of saw people doing it. So did you have a mentor or anything like that with getting started?
Getting started, I didn't really have a mentor, but the lady at my job who was teaching me about the holistic products, I still keep in touch with her to this day. And she's actually one of my customers now. Like, she's one of my top customers now. And
Nice.
I tell her all the time, like, thank you for showing me, because I honestly, before that, I hadn't heard of like essential oils and like, just all the bad things that are in most of these commercial products. And I really didn't know or didn't even think of, you know, what was really going on. And like I said, to this day, I still keep in touch with her, and she's one of my top customers. And then the lady who I bought the products from, um, I still keep in touch with her on social media, and just seeing
Okay.
her continue to grow it's a big motivation to me. But there's other people who see me coming up, who reach out to me and ask me questions or want advice on how to get started in this and that, and a lot of them have really taken off. So I even, I can learn from anybody. So even the people who reached out to me and I started before them, I still learn from them, and keep up with them, and try to learn as much as I can from everybody around.
I think that's what it's all about because you hit something on the head when you said you didn't see many black women like in business. I always tell people, I say this so often, and I know people probably get sick of hearing it. But as a kid, nobody ever told me that I could own my own business. Like, it just seemed
Exactly.
so far out of the way to me. Like, when I
Mm-hmm.
heard, and I had this idea in my head that everybody that owned their own business was rich, right? Because you had
Right.
to be rich to own your own business.
Right.
And it's crazy. And that's one of the reasons that I like doing this podcast, is because I get to meet so many women like you who are like, I didn't think about this entrepreneurial ride or whatever. For you, it was a way to help you get over some stuff that you had going on. And,
Mm-hmm.
it just, for me, it was like, hey, I know I don't like going to work every day, so I got to figure something else out. Let me create something on my own. But I think that's so many people's story that we don't see so many black women. I know when I first opened my paint and sip studio in Chicago, our staff probably hated me and my business partner at the time because at the end, all the ladies wanted to talk. We were supposed to be helping them clean up, but all the ladies wanted to talk to us about how we got started and
Yeah.
what we did to get started and all this other stuff that we weren't able to help the staff. We were talking to them. We were like, we're so sorry, but we wanted to share that message with people because I think as women, it's so important for us to empower each other and to help each
Exactly.
other. I think that you made a great comment about the person who started talking to you is now one of your biggest customers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if that person had fed into you or whatever, then neither one of you, she wouldn't be getting products, you wouldn't be making products. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes we just hold stuff so close to the vest instead of sharing. And I
Yeah.
think that's where we lose a little bit of our magic because if we just share with people, I think it's enough for all of us. Because even though you're doing your products, you bought a kit from somebody else, she's doing her stuff and she's still being successful. You're successful now in what you're doing. And I think that's like almost our duty as women
Yeah.
entrepreneurs
I
to
agree.
give back to people. Like, and just share. I tell people all the time, I don't know everything, but whatever I know, I'm willing to share with somebody. And even
Exactly.
across, it's crazy because you wouldn't think, my business is travel, yours is selling natural products, but I'm sure if we sat down and had conversations, we're both still dealing with customers. We both got to figure out how to make it make sense at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So even though it's totally two different industries, we got there's some synergies there that we can probably learn from each other. And so I think that's always like important. And I think that's something that, we find mentors to help us, but I think it's also great for us to go back and be able to be a mentor and help other people in what they're trying to do. So let's talk about, you mentioned that you have two teenagers. And so how do you integrate, like, okay, now it's time to work and I got to make these products, and now I got to spend time with these two teenagers as well?
Whew, balance is one thing that I always question, like, is it really a such thing as balance? Because it's like 1 week I just feel like I'm on top of everything is flowing, it's good, and then the next you just like, oh my goodness, it's crazy what's going on. But I try to communicate as much as possible with my kids. I let my calendar be my boss. Like, when I put it on my calendar and I say I'm doing this, this, and this, like, it's just like my boss at work. Like, I have to do these things. You know what I mean? Finding balance in all of it. I just try to keep myself as grounded as possible, and making sure I stay on top of whatever I say that I need to get done for that day. Even if I don't get it done for that day, like before the end of that week, I have to do what I said that I needed to do.
Do you ever just take a day and just say, you know what, I can't do anything today. I'm just here. Like a day to just, I don't know if you watch TV shows or do whatever. Do you just say like, forget it, I'm not doing nothing today. I need this mental break for myself?
Oh yes, I'll have a whole weekend of I'll get up on a Saturday as long as my house is clean and smell good and my clothes are washed. I feel like my life is okay. So as long as I have those things done, I'll lay in my bed for 2 days straight if I need to, because you gotta keep it balanced and you can't burn yourself out. It's so easy to get burnt out. Like, it's really so easy. Like, I just recently started massage therapy school. So that's one extra thing that I just added to my calendar. And like I said, having two teenagers, they have their own things going on too. They want to hang out with their friends. They have, teams and all these sports that they're in school. So yeah, you gotta try to figure it out. But really, it can all be done for me, I just make sure I stick close to my calendar.
To the calendar. That's what's up. I'm learning to. I've learned in the last year or two that the calendar is my best friend now. I had not been a calendar person, and it's so funny because I was actually talking to my husband the other day. I think it was just yesterday, and he always tells me that I'm last minute with doing so many things. So then yesterday I started talking to him about something in August later on this year, and he was like, well, talk to me in July. I said, no, you told me I'm last minute. I'm trying to follow the calendar now. Let's get it. So I definitely understand that calendar thing and trying to figure that out and make sure that all balances. I think it's great that you say you'll take like a day or two and just relax. I think so many times women get caught up. Everybody is always like, you got to be on your grind. You got to be working. You got to be doing it. Money don't sleep. Like all this stuff that they say. And it's like, there's just no way to physically do all of that.
There's no way.
And then you'll get burnt out, and it's like, forget it. I mentioned so many times when I'm talking to people about how, because if you get in that mentality, like I got to always be working, it's easier to say, forget it. You know what? I had vacation when I worked for somebody else. So let me just go back to working for somebody else, because at least I can take a break. And if you don't ever take those breaks for your own business, you need that time to come up with new ideas and just new strategies and all that other kind of stuff that comes along with, with running your business. And
but even then, I try to schedule my rest days too. But even if I can, sometimes everything just catch up with you, and when your body say you need to rest, like you just gotta rest. Like this, it's gonna have to wait until tomorrow.
Yep, I agree. I agree 100%. So, is there a fun fact or something like unique about this journey on entrepreneurship you that you thought it was going to be something that it wasn't, or that you like encountered along the way that you were like, "Ooh, I'm glad I made it through," or "Ooh, I didn't know that was gonna be that way." Something like that that you want to share with us?
Yes, just getting started. Like when you're so excited about starting a new business, all you're thinking about is, all the customers that's gonna, come to you, how fun it's gonna be, all the money you're gonna make. And you get into it and you like, what is this? It is a mess. Like you don't realize, like, okay, I make my products. So you got the making the products. Then you have to find out how to, translate, what your products do to your customers. Then you got to make the content. Then you have to, make sure that the content is in alignment with the customers that you want. Like it's so much. So, like I said, I went through 2.5 rebrands. Like the last rebrand I just did was probably, I want to say about 6 months ago. And it really wasn't a rebrand. It was more of a kind of like, I had learned a lot more about social media and kind of how to get my message through. And um, it helped me to really be more in alignment with my business and to kind of like just connect with people more. And it really like, it took off in a way that almost scared me. I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know, it would happen like this. The more you come in alignment with your business and feel like almost one with it, how much it will take off because it's really you. Like you're being your authentic self and, people connect with it. Like your people are out there is what I'm finding out.
Yep, I agree 1,000%. When you and it's crazy because you, like you said, you put this product out, or well, you're thinking about a business like, oh, if I sell, you multiply how much that candle costs or that body stick costs by how much it costs to make it, and you get that number. Like, if I can just sell 25 of these, and it seems like it's gonna be so. I know I can do 25, and then you get that first week, it's like, oh, I did 2.
Right.
I did 3, and it's like, okay, and I think that's what a lot of people get discouraged. But just getting started, like you said, is so hard. I tell people, get started, because even if you just got those 2 candles selling, that 2 gonna turn to 4, 4 gonna turn to 8, and it's gonna eventually take off. Like you said, once people realize that, okay, and it's so many people out here that will do stuff. I think sometimes consumers are a little bit like, I don't want to say shell shock, but it's like, okay, let's see if she's really going to keep selling this. Because what if she makes a product I really like, and then next week she gone and she moved on to something else? So sometimes it takes people. I've been in travel since 2000, and I had somebody comment on one of my posts probably like 2 years ago and was like, "Who booked your trip to South Africa?" And I was like, "Me." Like, you've been my friend for like 15 of these years on social media.
Right.
So like, how do you not see it? But I think that once you keep consistent and people are seeing you do it, that's when they have more confidence in your brand and in you, because they're like, oh, okay, she's not just making some stuff in the kitchen that's gonna break my skin out, and she experimenting with me. So I think that's great that you said that, getting started and then just making sure that your brand is authentic to you, and expressing like who you are as a person, because I think people like to do business with people that they like.
Exactly.
Like, sometimes you got somebody who don't, you think about like hair or nails or something, like, oh, she didn't polish this right, but I really like her, so let me give her another chance. So I think that's what, as entrepreneurs, we have to figure out, like, how we get customers to not only like our products but actually like us.
Yeah, because people shop with who they like, know, and trust. So you gotta, get your message out to the point where people trust you and people, like what you do. And you can only really do that by being your authentic self. I really almost gave up a couple times. Like, I definitely almost gave up a couple times, especially when I started I started doing something new in real estate, and I was making more money than I was making in my natural body care business, but I was way more passionate about my natural body care, and I almost gave up. Like, well, if this is making me more money, like, why am I even, steadily doing this? But I chose to stick with my passion, and it's paid off. I didn't give up. Like, no matter if I even had to do another rebrand to get my, to come in more in alignment with my business, I would do it because it's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, and that's what what I tell people all the time. It's kind of like, the whole you keep talking about rebranding, and it's like McDonald's doesn't necessarily rebrand, but they have
Right.
different products. They started with like hamburgers, and now they got chicken nuggets,
Right.
fish sandwiches, and McRib every once in a while, and all this other stuff. So it's not like they're creating a whole new thing, but they're
Exactly.
slowly navigating to what people want and what people are
Exactly.
asking for. So I think that's a great thing too to kind of just point out, because sometimes people will get discouraged, or again, back to all money is not good money,
Yeah.
so real estate thing was making so much money, but I was called to this and that passion. So that was actually something that I was going to ask you about, was just staying resilient and determined in your business, like how you do that. But I think when you feel stuff and that's what I'm supposed to be doing, it's so natural that you can't not do it anymore.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you got to find ways to kind of get to your people. Like, I know, and I know myself, like, I'm not the best speaker in the world, or it's kind of hard for me to kind of like translate exactly what my products do and how amazing they are. So I'm like, people need to feel my products. Like, if they can feel them, then I know, you know what I mean, they're going to see the value in it. And so over the summer, I was, talking to God and thinking of ways to how I can get people to feel my products, and feet washing dropped into my spirit. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, I didn't really listen to it at first. So I went, my friend does these feet readings, like where she can read your feet and kind of like give you, some messages, or kind of tell you about yourself, like just looking at your toes and your feet. And she
Okay.
needed like some people to practice on. So I went there, and the very first thing she did was wash my feet. And that was kind of like my sign there. So I did feet washing over the summer, and it was just another way for people to kind of feel my product. So I will use my body scrub to wash their feet, and then I will use my body oil to massage their feet, and just them feeling my products, I was able to kind of translate my message without having to speak almost.
Right. That's good, and that's a great way to. It's funny because we have to compensate for certain things in business too, because we can be great at certain things and not so great at the other things, but we have
Mm-hmm.
to use those strengths and weaknesses
Yeah.
to make it all work for what we needed to do with the business. So we're about to run out of time, but I want people to feel your product. So please tell us how we can get some TLC in our life. Where can we find you at on social media, websites, whatever it is that you want us to know about how to get your products?
So my website is shopalittletlc.com. That's www.shopalittletlc.com. My Facebook is a little TLC home and body. And then on Instagram, which is my main posting source, it is a little TLC _ home and body. And that's where you can connect with me. I post all kind of tips on glowing up and kind of how to match your outer shine to your inner glow. That's my motto. That's what I help women do. You can always reach out to me for questions, tips on anything like that. I also lost 60 pounds over the last 3 years. I had really bad skin also, and I cleared all of my skin naturally. So I have all those tips and, motivation and whatever else you need. You can always reach out.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So thank you so much, Telisa. We really appreciate you joining us on Trailblazing Bosses. You guys go out there and try some of her products. And we will see you next time on Trailblazing Bosses. Join us next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.